welcome back to Cuckoo for Books. My name is Salva, and today I will be doing the 25 bookish facts about me tag. I was tagged by Rafi Paris. Thank you for tagging me. I've always wanted to do this, and I want to tag everyone who wants to do it. Like, if you're watching this video now and you're wishing, dang, I wish somebody would tag me, go ahead, consider yourself tagged. This is pretty straightforward. All you have to do is share 25 bookish facts about yourself. Book fact number 1, I learned how to read before I could walk. There's this story that people love telling about my childhood where we had one of those alphabet mats on the floor. Apparently what they would do is they would ask for me to crawl to a letter, like crawl to the letter S or crawl to the letter B, and they would do it out of order, and I would just like crawl my way to the letters. So I like to tell people that I learned to read before I could walk, and that is the reason why I am so unathletic today, and I prefer just curling up with a good book. Bookish fact number 2, I would say my first book that I ever read, I attribute it to 2 novels. The first is an abridged version of A Little Princess, and the second book I remember reading this little storybook called The Greatest House Ever. It was a story about 2 mice who got kicked out of their house, which was a sock. So they go on this adventure to look for their next house. They go to a handbag and they go to a muffler, which I had no idea what a muffler was because there is no need for mufflers in the Philippines. Those are the 2 first books that I remember reading. Third fact might come as a shock to some of you, but I hated Harry Potter before reading it. When I was about 6, my godmother gave me a copy of the first Harry Potter book. Didn't really care about it, and then a bunch of older cousins would ask to borrow it, and then I was like, this is so weird. Why would an 18-year-old want to borrow a book owned by a 6-year-old? That's just really weird, and I didn't want to read it. Yes, a hipster at 6 years old. I decided that I wasn't gonna read a book that everybody else was crazy about until one day I was really bored, found it on a shelf, decided to read it, and now I am loving it. Clearly. Aside from Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling, another favorite author of mine is, yes, you guessed it, Tamora Pierce. I love her so much. She was introduced to me by a classmate when I was in the 7th grade. She writes high fantasy. Bookish fact number 5, my favorite genres to read are high fantasy and sci-fi and historical fiction. Least favorite genres, I would like to get more into them. They're not my go-to genres, contemporary and classics. Bookish fact number 7, the first author I was ever able to meet was Lacey Harrison from the Click series. I was crazy about her books when I was a tween. I got it signed, I think I was about 15. Bookish fact number 8, my favorite book to movie adaptation would have to be The Chronicles of Narnia. There is just something so magical about the movie adaptation that I love so much. Bookish fact number 10, I rarely, if ever, get rid of books, as seen in the back, but I'm talking even children's books I've collected. You can't see it below, but the lowest shelf on my bookshelf, they're reserved for the books I grew up reading. So I've got Mary-Kate and Ashley books there, Babysitter's Club, Sweet Valley. I'm a pack rat. I think I get it from my grandmother, who has never thrown away a thing in her entire life. Bookish fact number 11, one of my favorite bookish experiences was unpacking this library. We moved houses about 3 years ago, and I was very excited to unpack all of these babies and just organize it. I had so much fun. I was playing music here by myself, singing, and just unpacking and having fun. Bookish fact number 12, my favorite bookish purchase was this Lord of the Rings omnibus. It was at a flea market, and this was there. It was a secondhand book. It's all 3 novels in it for £5, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's about 300 pesos. I say I love it, but I never actually read it yet. We're just gonna put that down. Bookish fact number 13, aside from novels, I also collect concept art books. This is an example of one of them. So I got the Tangled book. I'm also a huge fan of animation and movie making in general, so I love having them around and learning about how they brought that movie to life. Favorite book would have to be Impossible by Nancy Werlin. I loved it as a standalone, but the author ruined it with a follow-up novel, which made all the characters seem wonky and, you know, the type of sequel. Other favorite books would have to include Ice by Sarah Beth Durst, Kite Runner, loved it, did not expect to love it as much as I did, The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield, and Flowers in the Attic, which is kind of weird and kind of twisted and kind of wrong, but I love it. I think I've reread it 3 times in 2 years. Bookish fact number 15. My favorite heroines growing up were Miss Nancy Drew, who I still love to this day, and Little Miss Ramona Quimby. I would say these 2 series were the cornerstone of my childhood literary experience. Bookish fact number 16. In elementary school, I would go through about 3 library cards a year, and I spent it borrowing, yes, you guessed it, Nancy Drew novels. Bookish fact number 17, a historical figure or subject that I could just devour book after book after book about would have to be the Romanovs. I pretend every time I read about their imprisonment, fiction or nonfiction, I always think at the end maybe they're not gonna die, and I try to kid myself that they're not gonna die. Of course they do. I think I've read at least 5 different YAs about it, about 3 different biographies about it, and still, if you gave me one, I would just read it all over again and pretend like they weren't gonna die at the end. Bookish fact number 18, a series I would love to get into is of course Game of Thrones. Bookish fact number 19, if I ever want to see a book be adapted to movie, well, it would have to be either the Tamora Pierce books or the Mediator series. Bookish fact number 20, if I ever wrote a book, strangely enough, I could see myself writing contemporary, even though I don't read a lot of contemporary. Bookish fact number 21, so this is gonna be kind of a promo, but also a fact, if you care to know it. So Romance Class, which is a local community of Filipino authors writing in English, they're coming out with podcasts, and for season 2, I will be voicing all of their female characters, so watch out for that. Shameless self-plugin. Bookish fact number 22. I have never read the following book series. The 50 Shades book, the Lord of the Rings book, not completely the Chronicles of Narnia book. I think I'm 3 books away. Series of Unfortunate Events. Bookish fact number 23. I used to read 3 books at a time. In recent years, I've sort of chilled out and stuck to 1 book at a time, particularly when I started my vlog because it would be easier to review books that way. Bookish fact number 24, I remember when the 7th book of Harry Potter came out, I would switch places. So we were given an arranged seating plan, but I think I switched places with my friend because I was in the front of a row. So I asked if we could switch places. So not only could I be hidden while reading the book, but I could also prop my feet up on her chair and use it as a stand. I think for about 3 days, I did not listen to the lesson plan at all. I just read the book. I think I even got out of a family dinner because I said I was sick. And bookish fact number 25. I love reading YA. I really don't like it when people try to box in people who read YA and say that it's not real highbrow literature, blah 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 blah. Don't genre discriminate, love one another, and peace on earth. And that is it for my 25 bookish facts about me. If you guys liked it, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, both at Cuckoo for Books, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys!